Wait, what about weird?
Hi, I'm Echo.
And I'm Elena.
And this is our podcast, What About Weird? A podcast discussing all things weird, from cryptids and aliens to strange science and unhinged history. Orpheocordyceps unilateralis. Did I fucking say that right?
Okay. We just getting right into it? Science lecture? Or
yes.
We speak in Greek today?
What we often call zombie ant fungus is a type of parasite fungus
that infects a lot of people that I work with. I mean, what?
With various strains attacking specific species of insects. The spores of the cordyceps take over control of the mind and motor functions of the host, causing erratic behaviors and forcing the insect to seek a higher location.
Much like social media.
Where more sunlight and warmth create prime reproductive conditions for the fungi. When the insect dies, a fungal growth bursts from its head, releasing spores that will claim their next targets.
Much like a sneeze.
Not like a sneeze. They are unlike viruses in any way.
Except for the fact that they're infectious. And
that is true.
Some of them spread through the air. Yeah, I threw my biology textbook out the window before this episode. You should have let me know before I did that.
Most fungi cannot exist at a high enough temperature to withstand living in the human body. Until now. A mutated version of the cordyceps, after being consumed by a human, may infect humans just as they infect the ants, turning them into living fungal zombies. Oh wait, these aren't my notes for the podcast. That's the premise of The Last of Us.
Okay, I was going Thank you for putting up your finger and stopping me, because I was about to dive into a whole bunch of questions. Also, is The Last of Us worth watching? I've heard good things about it.
I have not seen the show because I keep telling myself I'm going to play the video game first, and then I never do because who has time for that?
I'm notoriously bad at watching shows and playing video games. I have like 2 video games I've played, and I watch one show at a time because I'm that person. Yeah. I am literally the worst when it comes to watching shit, unless it's a movie. One day, down the road, eventually, maybe, who knows? Maybe not, probably not.
But still, you might be thinking, could the premise of The Last of Us happen in real life?
I'm not thinking that, no.
Well,
I'm not thinking anything. I'm not thinking, there are no thoughts in my head right now. I have no thoughts.
That empty no thought. Smooth brain.
Smooth. Have you ever seen a chicken breast? That's my brain.
According to mycologists, experts within the field of fungi, this jump from insects to people is highly unlikely. There are millions of different fungal species out there in nature that don't cause any sort of infections in humans, and the cordyceps
But there are quite a
few
few that do.
Yeah, very few, though, compared to how many species are out there. In fact, it's like the same with bacteria. Like, there are so many bacteria out there. There are a lot that infect humans, but not nearly the amount compared to, like,
there
how
better
many
not
are
be
out
a
there.
flesh-eating fungus, because I'm already terrified of flesh-eating bacteria. If you bring up a flesh-eating fungus, I am kicking you out of my house, and I am curling up in a corner crying. I will listen to you talk about it.
I bet there is. I do not bring that up, and I do not know if there is, but I bet there is.
There's no winning. There's no winning with nature.
I want to look it up now. Is there a flesh-eating fungus?
I think there's one they've designed. I could be totally wrong and just pulling this out of my...
mode. No, fuck you. I don't want AI mode. Not interested. Fuck you, AI.
I could be pulling this out of my ass. Are you done fighting with AI right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I could be pulling this out of my ass, but I think they created a fungus that can, like, decompose plastic. But I might be totally wrong and just bullshitting. I never look anything up for your episodes unless it comes up to it. What'd you find?
There's also a fungal infection that can cause similar tissue damage, and are sometimes referred to as flesh-eating.
Cool, I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
Let's kill it with fire, please.
Mucormycosis, which can be a severe and even fatal complication, such as necrotizing fasciitis.
How can I avoid that?
I don't don't think you can.
You
I
just
think
die?
if you're gonna get a flesh-eating
You die before
whatever,
you get it?
you're just gonna get a flesh-eating whatever.
Okay, cool. We're fucked. Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that for us.
Oh, that's how I feel like every single time I, like, listen to certain podcasts that are like, hey, there's amoebas out there and flesh-eating bacteria, and you might die because of all these reasons. And I'm like...
Yeah, no, I know
cool.
the podcast you're talking about that's straight up just anxiety, the podcast.
Yeah. Because, like, I already think about these things, like, relatively frequently, but then it just makes it so much worse to know more about it. Because especially when you live in the South and you realize that all of these things thrive specifically in warmer climates, and due to climate change, it's becoming the perfect habitable temperature for them. I'm like... Great. This is awesome.
This is why I love microbiology, but also I hate it because this is fascinating, but it's terrifying.
Oh, yeah. You'll learn to be scared of everything the more you know, I swear.
You can also just not do that and have anxiety. That works too.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. Then why aren't more people happy? Because they too ignorant?
Okay, let's see. So,
keep telling me about stuffs.
Cordyceps are not one of the species that can infect humans. In fact, if a cordyceps evolves to infect a species of ant, it can't even infect any other species of ant. So if it can't even cross the species barrier within insects, the likelihood that it can jump from ants to humans is pretty implausible.
But we'll find a way to make it work.
When we venture out into nature, we are inhaling thousands of fungal spores. But due to our immune systems and high body temperatures, most do not cause any issues. Some mycologists even believe that we evolved this specific temperature for our bodies so that fungal spores would be unable to live in our bodily systems. There are, however, still multiple types of fungus that exist that can infect humans and cause infections. The risk of infection is growing worse with global warming leading to fungi evolving to exist in higher temperatures, such as at human body temperature.
Yeah, if it consistently keeps staying over 100 around here, we're fucked.
Yeah.
I swear.
And an increase in antibiotic use has been leading to multi-drug resistant strains of fungi. But for now, we have antifungal medication to deal with these issues, and experts say there's nothing to worry about. For now.
Dun, dun, dun!
But to lighten the mood, so you weren't thinking about the existential crisis of fungi.
Oh, I'm going to keep thinking about it. Thank you very much.
I'd like to play a little game called Fungi or Not, where I'm going to name a few different things, and you're going to tell me whether or not you think it's a fungus. Okay. All right. Pneumocystis jirovecii, which causes pneumonia.
Not a fungus.
It is a fungus.
It is? Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was a bacteria thing.
Pneumonia is typically caused by bacteria or a virus,
Okay.
but it can also be fungal, and so this
it's half
specific
right.
one, this specific one can actually cause pneumonia. So it's great. So if you have pneumonia,
No, it's not great. It's not great. It's not great.
If you
Don't
have,
say it is.
If you have pneumonia, it could be bacterial, viral, or even fungal. All right, yeast.
That is a fungus? No.
Yep.
It is?
All forms of yeast are fungus. So if you get a yeast infection,
I mean, that's kind of what it is.
So if you get a yeast infection, that
I'm
is
gonna start calling STDs infections.
Infections. So if you get a yeast infection, that is indeed a fungal infection, and if you use baker's yeast, you are adding fungi to your bread. All right, lichen.
It's half fungus.
Yep. I knew you were going to get that one. So that
You
was a
know
little
me,
bit
I
of
love
a-
lichen.
This one's a little bit of a trick question because lichen has a fungal component, but is actually a symbiotic relationship between fungi and cyanobacteria. All right, mold.
Yes.
Yep, mold is a type of fungi. Penicillin.
Yes, fungus.
Yep. Slime mold.
It's not, right?
Yeah,
Or-
it's actually a type of amoeba.
Okay, I thought it was something like that.
Even though it looks a lot like a fungi.
Look at me knowing shit.
I know.
Are you proud of me?
Mildew on bathroom tiles.
Yes.
Unless it's black mold, is actually typically a bacterial biofilm.
Okay, I'm used to seeing the black mold type thing.
Yeah.
Though, so that's
here,
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all I have for fungi or not. I think you got all of them right except for the pneumonia one.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
You threw me off with the pneumonia because I thought pneumonia was a bacterial
Yeah.
effect. Because some of it is.
Yeah, most people think that you can only get pneumonia in, like, bacterial or viral form. So, the more you know, I guess.
Cool. More things to be paranoid. I love that for me. I appreciate that.
Now that we've cleared up a little confusion for some people, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of what is a fungus. Most people may think that fungi, such as mushrooms, are plants, which is not even close to true. They are an entirely separate kingdom of organism. They are eukaryotic, like plants and animals, meaning their cells contain a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, unlike bacteria or archaea.
Which are prokaryotic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yep.
I'm remembering stuff from biology. Yay!
Thanks, high school biology. Unlike plants, which have cell walls made of cellulose, the cell walls of fungi are made of chitin, which is tougher and more rigid. They are heterotrophic, which means they cannot produce their own food.
They're not gay.
It means they cannot produce their own food and must receive nutrients from external sources. While
Much
plants,
like a toddler.
Any sort of animal or human.
So, much like a toddler.
Yes. While plants are autotrophic, meaning that they create their own food through the process of photosynthesis.
Meaning they eat cars. Automotive.
I had just said photosynthesis, and so I was trying to make the connection between photosynthesis and cars, and I was like, what?
You know, photomobiles.
Many fungi are decomposers, which means they break down dead organic matter and recycle nutrients.
And apparently sometimes live organic matter? What we just learned from flesh-eating fungi?
No, because they kill off your flesh first and then consume the nutrients. So it's still
Technicalities. Technicalities.
They still kill it before they eat it, though, so it's dead.
That's not better.
Fungi reproduce through spores, which are a type of reproductive cell. When we think of fungi, most people think about mushrooms. You might eat mushrooms in your pasta. You might take one of the many hallucinogenic mushrooms, such as psilocybin, to trip at a music festival. Or you may have been warned about eating mushrooms in the forest because they are poisonous and can kill you. We even drink mushrooms in our coffee these days. Many cafes offer mushroom coffee, which often contain medicinal mushrooms that have immune-boosting properties, help regulate metabolism, give a dose of adaptogens that help regulate cortisol, and contain many antioxidants. However, we really only have results of animal studies that show medicinal mushrooms are of any benefit. So take this with a grain of salt, because the results of animal studies often do not correlate with the same results in humans. If your mushroom coffee contains lion's mane, you may be doing yourself a favor, though. Lion's mane, in several scientific studies on both humans and animals, were able to show that there are two bioactive compounds within the mushroom that improve the synthesis of nerve growth factor, which is essential for neurogenesis and neuroplasticity.
Breaking out all the scientific words, aren't we? Everybody who's not absolutely fascinated like science like we are, their eyes are just glazing over with all of these long words. They're starting to drool at the corners of their mouth. They're like, okay, yeah, just get to the zombie fungus already.
Why are they listening to this podcast if they're not interested in science, though? I swear to God, that's like half of our episodes.
Yeah, because even I bring science into the like unhinged episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
I talked for like 20 minutes. I talked about mongoose biology in the Jeff the Talking Mongoose episode.
So true. Even though it had nothing to do with like a real mongoose for most of it.
No, I was just like, hey guys, let's learn about mongoose.
A 2008 Japanese study reported that people who already had mild cognitive impairment, who took lion's mane supplements for just 16 weeks, showed statistically significant improvement on cognitive performance tasks when compared to the placebo group. So while some health benefits of mushroom coffee may not be all they're cracked up to be, there is still some evidence that it's worth the extra effort to grab some earthy mushroom coffee instead of your typical latte. Or at least it certainly wouldn't hurt.
No, I'm going to run on all of the espresso until my bones vibrate, because that's the only way I can focus, because ADHD.
Mushroom coffee still has either coffee or tea or cacao in it.
Yeah,
like, it's not just mushrooms.
Mushroom coffee is good, though.
It is.
But
honestly,
no, I like making my bones vibrate. I'm a huge fan of making my bones vibrate with caffeine, but...
I do not like mushrooms. Like, I hate mushrooms and anything, but mushroom coffee does not taste like mushrooms. It's actually good.
It tastes kind of like a mocha.
Yeah. They, like, dry roast and grind up the mushrooms. There isn't really a mushroom taste left. And then you add, like, either the coffee or the tea to it, and then often some, like, cinnamon or...
other flavorings.
Chocolate. Yeah, flavors. It does not taste like mushrooms. Fungi isn't just mushrooms, though. They are versatile, and I'm going to tell you about just a few weird and wacky fungi you may not know about.
What if I do know about them? Then what are you going to do?
Well, other people might not know about them.
Okay, I'll just zip it and sit here quietly, not saying anything for the rest of the episode.
Okay, then. I believe in you.
I don't.
Have you ever wondered how plants can connect to each other and seemingly communicate?
No, because they do it through the mycelium of mushrooms, right?
Yes, they do. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So, 99% of communication between plants could not be done without the mycorrhizae.
Michael Bublé?
Alright, I'm going to say the sentence again. And I'm going to figure out how to fucking say the name of this fungi because I looked it up so many times.
Just do what I do whenever I have to pronounce scientific names. Just balls to the wall, mispronounce it, and then redo it 6 times. I'm like, it's fine.
I know it's pronounced mycorrhizae. Mycorrhizae.
Mycorrhizae.
Mycorrhizae. It might be mycorrhizae.
Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé fungi. All right. So 99% of communication between plants could not be done without mycorrhizae fungi. They are tiny or even microscopic threads of fungi called hyphae, which are interconnected through a net-like web called mycelium. Even packed around the small area of one plant, if you strung it out, it would measure hundreds or thousands of miles. The mycelium of one plant can connect to other plants or other mycorrhizae to form an underground network. In this way, plants of all different species are connected and can communicate over a vast area, such as across an entire forest. We aren't often able to see the mycorrhizae network, but sometimes they'll put out fruiting bodies that produce spores for reproduction. These are the mushrooms. If you find some mushrooms you can eat in the forest, thank the underground network below. Plants take any excess sugar from the photosynthesis process and send it to the mycelium as nutrients to keep the fungi alive.
Are we gonna talk about the peace pipe flowers?
No.
Damn it! Those are so cool!
We're here to talk about fungi.
They work with the fungi and the bacteria.
Yeah.
They're not fungi, but you were talking about the nutrients from the photosynthesis and stuff. Okay, never mind. My cool plant stuff is out the window. Forget that.
Yeah, we're fungi only.
I'm boring. I'm sorry.
This is a fungi only podcast.
I'm sorry I'm not a fun guy for the fungi episode. I'll just fuck off. Okay.
Plants take any excess sugar from the photosynthesis process and send it to the mycelium as nutrients to keep the fungi alive. And in turn, the mycelium, which can cover a much greater surface area of soil than plant roots, can send up nutrients from the ground to the plant. Mycorrhizae can also help protect the plants against disease and toxins and serve as a way for plants to talk to each other, almost like the internet for plants, powered by these massive fungal networks. Just because that's like a neat bit of knowledge to understand how they have a symbiotic relationship with pretty much every plant that exists out there, I'm going to get into some very specific types of fungi that have really interesting properties. Hypomyces lactiflorum, commonly called lobster mushrooms. We're going to pretend that I pronounced the scientific name right, even though I didn't, okay?
I don't know. I'm assuming you pronounced it fully correctly, and anybody else that pronounces it any other way is just wrong.
Yeah, we're going to pretend that that's the truth.
Yeah, that's what I've learned from the internet, is if you say anything with enough confidence, it is true. And everyone else is wrong.
So it's commonly called a lobster mushroom, though it's neither a lobster or technically a mushroom. It is a type of parasitic fungus
A shrimp.
It's a type of parasitic fungus that grows on other mushrooms and turns them a bright red-orange color, like a lobster. Infected mushrooms contain DNA, mostly from the lobster mushrooms that have attacked, containing very little DNA of the original host mushroom. The parasitic fungi essentially hijacks the mushroom, slowly turning the host DNA into its own, and eventually even changing the shape of the original mushroom. Though this is dangerous for the mushroom it infects, it is very delicious to us humans, as lobster mushrooms are commonly eaten. We may also know the oyster mushroom from the culinary world, but what many people don't know is that they are carnivorous, with their target being nematodes, aka roundworms.
Interesting. I love oyster mushrooms. They're so good.
So, although we've known for decades that oyster mushrooms trapped the nematodes in little hoops and fed on them, we didn't know...
Hoops. I like picturing little toads in hoops.
They're little, loops of hyphae that have these, sticky knobs on them that are able to, trap the nematodes within them.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we've known that, I think, since around the 1980s, but we didn't know the method through which the fungi were able to feed on their prey until about 2020, when scientists...
That's recent.
Yeah, very recent. When scientists discovered that the mushrooms trigger a massive influx of calcium through the sensory cilia of nematodes, which leads to cell necrosis in the neuromuscular system.
Oh, so these basically are... They're doing what the flesh-eating fungi are doing, where they're killing the cells and then consuming them.
Yeah. This rapidly paralyzes and then kills the nematode so that the mushroom can then enter the dead nematode's body and absorb the nutrients, mainly nitrogen.
That's really cool, actually. That's...
Right?
So fascinating.
And oyster mushrooms aren't the only mushrooms that actually specifically feed off nematodes. There are multiple other different types of...
What did nematodes do in evolution to just get fucked by mushrooms?
I guess they just didn't evolve good enough.
What sins did they commit for evolution to be like, you know what your predator is going to be? Mushrooms.
Yeah, I think it's just really easy to attack nematodes and various insects and stuff. And you know what? It's the game of evolution. They didn't evolve fast enough.
Yeah, fuck you, nematodes.
All right, and then I'm going to talk about one last mushroom that is very interesting. The pictures of this one are a little goofy.
Okay, what is it called? I need to look it up now. Tell me. Let me try and spell this.
It's got a common name.
Okay,
but
tell me the scientific name and then the common name so I can look it up.
Is really a little funny too. Phallus imputicus.
We're mature adults. We won't laugh at that, right? We won't laugh at... Okay, what's the common name?
Commonly called stinkhorn mushroom.
Oh, yeah, no, I know these things.
Yeah.
I know those. Those are really cool.
So they are a phallic-shaped and foul-smelling mushroom that in its juvenile form are consumed in parts of France, Germany, and the Czech Republic. The head of the mushroom is covered in a stinky olive-colored goop that attracts flies. When the flies land on the mushroom, they pick up spores and carry them around so that the mushroom can repopulate.
There are similar things to stinkhorn mushrooms. They might be different variations of them in our state. Do you know if those are edible or no?
I'm not sure if those are edible or not. It did mention, when I was reading about stinkhorn mushrooms, there are other types of fungi that do this, but they are not related to the stinkhorn mushroom.
Okay, it's just different. It's just different phallic shaped. So many mushrooms are phallic shaped, I'm just realizing.
Oh, so many of them.
So many.
Either different, phallic-shaped mushrooms, or there are a lot of different mushrooms that have kind of independently evolved to have, a stinky trait about them to attract flies. Similar to, what, a corpse flower does.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of plants and fungi use that to spread either their seeds or their spores.
But it's the circle of life.
A spore that grows into a fruit body, which is a mushroom, is able to exert an extreme amount of pressure. up to 1.33 kPa of pressure, which is strong enough to push through asphalt.
There are so many jokes I could make with this mushroom, but I'm not going to. I'm going to let the listeners make them in their heads.
Recent studies have showed that the mushroom may have medicinal benefit if you can get past its horrible smell. Because if you have a disorder such as venous thrombosis, where your blood clots in your veins, this mushroom has anticoagulant properties by reducing platelet formation. And in medieval times, it was also used to cure gout and as a love potion. But I don't think I would be attracted to anyone who tried to feed me a mushroom that smells of rot. But those are just a couple of the weird fungi out there. Obviously, there are so many. Just like, you have to think of how many species of plants there are on this planet.
Oh,
like,
yeah. No, there's
ton.
so many.
There are probably just as many types of fungi out there. And there are... I think when a lot of people think of fungi, they're like, oh, these are culinary mushrooms and medicinal mushrooms. Well, like, fungi...
You either eat them, they make you trip balls, or they kill you.
And I think a lot of people, they're like, oh, weird fungi episode. We're going to talk about hallucinogenic mushrooms. Yes, I will eventually talk about hallucinogenic mushrooms.
We're actually going to talk about hallucinogenic mushrooms in my episode, funnily enough. Just for like 2 seconds, but
because they are really cool, and I am going to do probably almost like a part 2 of weird fungi, because I didn't want to make this episode like too long, just researching all of the fungi that I wanted to. Like, this is already 4 pages.
Sorry, my phone alarm went off to remind me to feed the dogs. I'm so sorry about that.
That happened last time we recorded too.
I know, I gotta remember to turn that off, but I keep forgetting. I'll feed the dogs after this. Continue telling me about all the mushrooms.
So this did not go on as long as I thought it would, because I had like 4 pages of mushroom research, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be plenty. But then I read a little bit faster than I meant to, so I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm speaking a mile per minute. I am...
Well, with all of the jokes I made and the times I interrupted, I'm sure it'll be fine. I can just yap for 20 more minutes if you want. I can, we'll take mushrooms and just keep recording.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be great.
It's just like an hour of silence until they cut in, and then us like seeing weird shit. But yeah, I'm definitely going to do a part 2 of weird fungi, because I did not even slightly get into all of the cool mushrooms out there. The different types of parasitic mushrooms out there. There are multiple different types of carnivorous mushrooms out there that are like similar to oyster mushrooms, but they eat other species.
The mushrooms that come up in my episode, we'll talk about this. We probably won't get into it too much, because it's not really relevant to the story. It just briefly comes up. But they were in my thing, in the what I was listening to for research, they mentioned the Amanita muscaria mushroom, and that's fascinating because the effects vary based off of when you harvest it and the growing seed, and like where they're growing and how they're prepared, and like, I don't know, that's fascinating that just with that one mushroom there's all these different things. Mushrooms are cool.
Mushrooms are so cool.
They're
just
so fascinating.
Fungi in general. We have to remember, mushrooms are always fungi, but fungi are not always mushrooms. What was the one that you were talking about? That flower? Because I want to do more. Because it sounds neat.
Peace pipe flower?
Yeah.
I'm not sure the scientific name, but that's the name. And there's other names for it, like the ghost flower. I've always called it peace pipe flower. Words.
I'll look into that, and I'm definitely going to do a part 2 of weird fungi, where I guess I can talk about way more fungi than I talked about in this episode, because, I vastly underestimated the amount of time it would take me to talk about this stuff, and I love fungi, so...
Oh, they're so cool. They're so cool.
Yeah. There's also this weird type of fungi. Hold on. I have it as a spare note in my phone. This is going to be like a little added extra acknowledgement. Bonus. Okay, so there is this type of fungi called the bird's nest fungi, where the spore dispersal technique is really interesting.
Oh, I've seen this. This is the one that like shoots out a net, right?
So essentially, it's called a paradiol and it's launched when a drop of water lands on it. So if you look, so there's this website called the Forest Floor Narrative, and this is what they say about it. At the base of the funicular cord, there is an adhesive structure called a hapteron. Once the hapteron comes in contact with vegetation, it sticks to it, and the funicular cord is deployed. The funicular cord initially acts as a brake. Then the momentum of the launch causes the entire structure to swing around the vegetation like a tetherball, where it becomes safely secured. Secured to the vegetation via funicular cord, these species increase their chances of being ingested by an herbivore, where they pass through the digestive tract, ultimately having fresh substrate to themselves.
Interesting.
So just, like, fucking wacky that it, like, triggers this reaction within the fungi so that it, like, launches itself like a tetherball to wrap around vegetation.
Rube Goldberg-ass mushroom.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my honorable mention fungi that I didn't, like, personally write my own little script on, but just a fun little fact about that one because I thought that one was neat as well.
Thank you for listening. If you liked it, please rate the podcast and share it with the weird people in your life. Follow us on Instagram at whataboutweirdpod.pod, where we often share pictures related to the episodes. We're also on Blue Sky as What About Weird Pod. If you have any topic suggestions or personal stories, please DM us or email us at whataboutweirdpod@gmail.com. And always remember
to ask about the weird.
Bye for now.